What's up, folks? Sean the Average Angler coming back at you with another great video. I am back in the saddle. Had to go help mom again, so I apologize for not having any new videos out, but when family comes first, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, we're back at it. We got a great video for you today. We are going to go over a technique that can be fantastic during those doldrum time. Okay, post-spawn, even more so, but I don't know, this is one of my favorite times of year to use this technique because it just seems to shine. We're going to get into that in just a minute. If you're new to the channel and you like this kind of content, hit that subscribe button. Join the Average Angler family, where we try to make everybody a better angler. This time of year, typically post-spawn type of times, fish can get in a funk, right? They're recovering from the spawn, they're skinny. There's a period of time from the time they're done spawning to where they get aggressive. Well, some may be aggressive anyway, but for the most part, the fish are kind of in a, call it a relaxed mode. Not really into chasing, not real aggressive, not defensive. They're tired, like a night out on the town or too many nights out on the town in a row. And we finally hit that wall, and that's where the fish are at. So this technique has done very well for me in these types of times, and I think because it's kind of a lazy technique, if you will. And that is a fluke or a fluke style bait. Okay, I still use regular flukes. I have some custom hand pours here, and you'll see it way more flexible, very soft. These work great. I used to have a friend that poured baits, and when he did, I got lots of baits. I got some cool colors in it, but this is generally one of my favorites. It's a baby bass. And then outside of that, I just like something shady. I think this one might be called albino or something. I don't know. The color's probably a little just colored from being in my box, and then just another shad type color. Okay, I keep it pretty simple. This one kind of looks like the Kitech rainbow shad. So I keep it pretty simple with the colors. More important to me is the setup and how you fish it. Now for me, generally, this is going to be a lighter line technique. You can throw this on a bait caster, you can throw it on a spinning rod. My preference is a spinning rod. Okay, several reasons for it, but I just like the spinning rod for this technique. It allows me to skip the bait very easily up under docks, especially floating docks that are on the water. And that just seems to be an area that post-spawners like to hang out in those times where they're in the doldrums. Now, there's a lot of other baits you can fish in those areas. A Senko, for instance, right? A Jackal Flick Shake. Lots of other weightless baits. However, the fluke just kind of has that unique action. It slowly kind of glides and sinks at the same time, very similar to a dying shad. So it presents an easy meal to the fish. Because I fish it on a spinning rod, one thing you have to know is you can get some line twist from fishing a fluke. Now, it's not a problem for me because the way I like to rig it, well, doing it this way gives you multiple benefits. One is eliminating line twist. And that is, I like to attach a small swivel. Well, you can't see that very well, but just a small swivel. Okay. Now, I use braid to leader. So on this, I am going to tie the braid directly to one side, tie my leader off the other. I try to keep this within about 2 feet, 2 feet a leader at the most, okay? 2 feet, 18 inches, somewhere around there. Now, the other benefit this is going to give you is this is going to help sink it a little bit. Now, you can use different hooks to help your sink rate. I generally like to stick with the regular standard EWG when I'm fishing these. Gamakatsu, owner, doesn't really matter to me. They're both good. The BKK, even the Berkeley Fusion 19s are good. and just use the weight of that hook to move this bait. Now, if you use a super line hook, it alters the action quite a bit and the sink rate quite a bit. So I really like to leave it to the standard wire hook. That's just the fall that I find works best for me. And then with this little swivel, it's going to help that braid sink so that it's not impairing the action of the bait. Now, one of the great things about throwing a weightless bait is it skips really, really well, okay? And that's why you want a smaller swivel. If you get too big a swivel on there and it's too heavy, it could grab some water and stop your skip. That little one, not an issue. So I've mentioned floating docks as a great place. One of my favorite places, skipping under a floating dock. You're throwing a bait to a place that doesn't get hit by every angler. Other places are suspended docks, okay? Like Clear Lake, we have a lot of both. We have docks on pilings, we have floating docks. The other great places for this is weed lines. So weed edges, tule lines, if you got a row of tules. But you can throw these back in tules. You can throw these in weed beds where you see a hole in the grass. You can fish them over the top of mats and drop them into holes. There's a lot of places you can fish a fluke. You're just going to adjust your line to suit. And understand that if I hook a big fish in the grass, I may have to go get them. You got to get bit before you can get the fish in the boat. So that's my philosophy on that. Fishing these, as far as how you fish it, it's pretty simple for the most part. I mean, throw it out, give it a little bit to sink. It's going to sink slowly and glide slowly. Pay attention to your line. That's very important so you can detect when you get bit. Sometimes it'll tick. Other times it might just start moving off. If you notice a change of pace of that line sinking, well, you may have a fish swimming off with it. Outside of that, I might impart a few light twitches just to get the bait to jump up and change direction. Okay, they're light twitches. Remember, that's why I'm using a spinning rod. Much easier to control that kind of thing and not overdo it. So I'm just doing a light twitch or twitch just so it'll kind of nose up and move to the other side, move to the other side. I'm typically, this time of year, not trying to get too aggressive with these because those fish are wanting something easy, they're lazy. This, to me, is a neutral bite bait. I have tons of other baits in my garage that I would rather fish than a weightless fluke. But they're very, very effective. And I'm going to show you another one for those guys that have a lot of timber around, meaning standing trees. Here I don't have a whole lot. We have Shasta, Oroville, which are both spotted bass lakes, and this is very effective in those areas. I'm not going to make one right now, but you got your 5/0 hook, right? You can just take some lead wire and wrap it around the shank. I generally like to start right above this bend. Don't go all the way over, just right above this bend, wrap it around. You don't need a lot of weight for this, okay? But you do want to test the bait after you've wrapped it. And then you just rig it just like typical, right? You don't need a lot of lead on there. So make your pass. Don't wrap it over itself over and over and over again. But you have the weight in this front quarter of the bait. When you throw this around trees, it gets this nice wide rotation as it falls. It just spirals down. And again, it still isn't fast, but it allows you to fish this bait down to like 20 feet where these fish suspend on trees. I don't know, they just can't handle it. They eat the heck out of them. Okay, so that's another way you can fish it if you have that type of cover. The other place you can do that on is bluff walls, to be honest, okay? Same type of situation. Fish will suspend on bluff walls. Anything that's steep, that's easy for them to move up and down on, and possibly catch some shade if they're uncomfortable in the bright sun, that can be a great way to fish it. Okay, if you move the weight back further, it's going to tend to more fall flat. So it could be something you want to try. What I generally did, what worked for me, was towards the front, so that it did the downward circular spiral. Circular spiral. Does that even mean anything? Is it a spiral? I don't know. Sometimes Sean's mind is a little... All right, anyway, great post-spawn bait, or if you ever are in a situation where you're in the doldrums of the day and don't seem to be able to get bit any other way, that you still think there's fish around, this can be a great approach to catching some extra fish. Now, later in the year, when we get to the fall, the fluke game can be a whole different deal. This way can work really well too, but I generally like to fish the bait a little bit more aggressive in the fall. Right now we're talking post-spawn. That lazy falling is very good. Now, one other bonus bait I'm going to give you for this. Where are they? Let me grab them. All right, and this bait is probably the easiest of the bunch to get, and that's the depth Sakamata shad. But we're looking for the heavyweight. Okay, these are heavily salted, so they sink. Now, on my local lake, well, not so local, but Clear Lake, they love these throughout the summer in the shallows. But you want the heavyweights, okay? They're not real popular. A lot of guys don't want them. They're very good, okay? You can get whatever size you typically fish. You know, a 5-inch. I think these are about 5-inch. This is a 7-inch. Don't discount the heavyweight depths, okay? They work very, very well. That's my bonus for you today. Sean the Average Angler, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.